Hi everybody, it's Bunny Spooks, and I'm back with the second part of that dream journal by that artist Mel Paradise. The last one was pretty weird, so let's take a look at how weird this one's gonna be. Also, if you have any stories, I know I've been gone a while, you can send them to bunnyspooks@gmail.com. Nobody sent me stories, so that's why I'm not uploading videos. So send me yours and I'll get them uploaded too, okay? I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the story. Bye. March 25th, 2019. I had a dream I was sitting on a foggy dock. The dream had kind of a greenish hue to it. I heard two people approaching, and the dock creaked. It was two men. Neither were imposing. In fact, through the fog, I got closer to them. One of them appeared to be an aged version of an ex-boyfriend I had back around high school. The other guy was an older, faceless man. Melissa? No one calls me by that name. What are you doing here? I shrugged, and the dream faded. When I woke up that morning, I was curious since I left where that guy was over a decade ago, and I haven't kept in touch. Looked him up on the old books of face, found him. Nothing special. He didn't look like in my dream. In fact, in real life, he'd aged terribly, putting on weight and balding, and still working a crappy office job in his hometown. Hi! I didn't bother looking, but I bet your sister is still an insufferable cunt as ever. Stay the fuck out of my dream world, loser. Thanks. April 1st, 2019. I had an in-between dream. I was sleeping on my couch as I had been in real life when I heard a creak directly in front of me, and it was a decrepit old lady with a walking stick. I don't know why, but I woke up in a fright with a panicked feeling in my chest. I had to take my anxiety medication and light some incense before I was able to get back to sleep. This happened about 2 hours before my alarm was set to go off. Another detail from a dream that same night that I remembered is I was being asked accusingly if I was collecting ash, and if so, for what purpose? In real life, I'd been collecting incense ash to use in an art project, so I responded to turn it into pigment. This seemed to anger them, as if it was meant to have something else be done with it. April 12th, 2019. I know I dreamed about the convention center again, but I only remember walking through a hall with a few friends. One of them was in a wheelchair. That's all I remember. April 4th, 2019. I had a dream I was moving around rectangular colored blocks of clay. Not making anything with them, just moving them around and stacking them in different ways, as if it were one of those impossible 3D puzzles. That was the whole dream. I'd spent the previous evening working pretty much on nothing but making clay charms, so it makes sense to have this kind of dream. April 15th, 2019. I was painting part of a fish skeleton. I've painted fish skellies in real life, but in the dream, unlike my regular style, I was painting sections of it in bright, bold colors. That was it. April 19th, 2019. I am presumably in a tackle shop since I felt the urge to go fishing. I needed hooks. There was a lady I was speaking to. She pulled out a cloth and set it on the table. This reminded me something more you'd see in a jewelry shop. What size do you need? 5mm, I said. Sorry, but you can't fish with that size here. Before I had a chance to ask why, she picks them up and carries them off, and I woke up. April 23rd, 2019. This dream was odd in that it was set in my current apartment, and I was only an observer. There was a woman and a child. They walked into my craft room. The child asked, "Why does it look like this?" The lady points to the shelves with the supplies on them and says, "This is where she makes the toy sushi." The child looks amused, picking up a top piece of a sushi, and says, "I see. These are the pieces, huh?" The lady smiles and nods approvingly. That's all I remember of this dream. April 28th, 2019. Only part of a dream I remember. I was looking for driftwood for crafting, and I found a long, slender, curved piece. I started dusting sand off of it, and part of it made a rattling sound. As I looked closer, I realized that it wasn't wood, but the jawbone of some large unknown animal. The bone still held some teeth, many of which were loose. The bone was very large, almost as tall as me. That's all I remember. May 7th, 2019. I had taken a nap this afternoon and dreamed that I was looking at clouds, but the big mass of clouds took on twisting and intricate shapes I'd never seen before. I wanted to take a pic, so I pulled out my phone. Just then I noticed that the cloud is getting closer, unfurling ribbons of vapors looking like arms, weightless and beautiful, and as they got closer they faded. I never took that pic. May 12th, 2019. It was me and two other girls. We were on a lake and there was a commotion. There was a pillar of winding lava and smoke that kept pouring from the lake into the sky, winding up like an angry, fiery snake. It went down in the water again, and one of the girls said, "Oh, this is normal," as if it's a goddamn geyser or something. As the lava came back down into the water with a great rumble, I had a sinking feeling that it wasn't normal. The ground around us rumbled, and a snake of fire and lava spewed up again, winding towards the sky. This time it brought a part of a statue with a man with it, which promptly melted. The boats around us started to finally freak out too, and we decided that maybe it was best to leave. But why by boat when there's explosions in the water? No idea. Well, while we were still on shore, one of the girls referred to the ring of smoke encompassing the pillar as the capstone. No idea what that could mean. I mean, I know what a capstone is, but I don't know how it could be a ring of smoke. One of the girls screamed with the next explosion and fell into the lake or bay, whatever it is. Me and the other girl got into a boat. It was very flimsy though, and it flipped after we were out a bit. My friend couldn't swim, and there was no immediate shores, but there were these small floating island things with homes, and some of them had fences. I helped my friend grab onto something and said, "I'll go find help." Some other stuff happened in that dream, but I don't remember. What I do remember is I got distracted and remembered later in the dream that I had just left the other person there and forgot about them. I felt bad about it when I woke up shortly thereafter. May 21st, 2019. Frustrated dimension hopping? The dreams were set in my dream worlds as described thus far, but everything was a slightly darker tone. In the first of many overlapping dreams, I was crazy, or rather, out of my mind, or out of control. There was this feeling like, it is like crazy in real life, like how do you know it's not a dream, and so on. I don't remember the first dream ending well. I remember that I was looking for something and that I got violently angry. From the end of that one to the next, I had spoken to someone and they had given me parts of my memory back. With each going through, each getting more lucid with time. I hardly recall what even happened in this odd cycle of similar dreams, but I do remember being lucid enough in one of them to warn or explain that I could just lose control because of the circumstances, and that I was sorry in advance. It was through this that I learned within the context of my dream world that it's possible to leave something of mental or dimensional breadcrumbs around if for yourself to find the next pass-through on the next thing that needed to be completed for a particular part of that dream to move forward, like a fucked up video game having to do the same level over and over until you get it right. Couple of things I remember: the wetlands, empty out near the ocean park. At one point, I ran into a gentle male entity who seemed aware of my situation, and he told me what I'd been doing wrong so I could move forward. It was a very familiar energy, but I did not see them in detail. It was kinder to me than all this dimension hopping. Every time I go through this cycle, the dreams would only change slightly, but enough to be noticeable. I was a little better and better after each one. Also during this dream, towards the end, there was a sensation of tearing through several different dimensions or illusions. May 26, 2019. Feeling abandonment? Seems that the mountain is the home to the no-good feels. It was a nightmare. I was trying to warn friends of a dangerous guy, presumably one I had been involved with at some point. Not sure in the context of the dream, as it may as well have been a monster. I don't remember a lot of the details of the early part of the dream except for walking around the base of the mountain. There were plants growing out of the rocks, and some kids went on a bike race on a track that led down the mountain. I was still on the mountain. It was very cold. I remember continuing to go up, but things got weirder from there. There were more of those half-creature camera things that I described in a previous dream, and even a hovering gun turret that tried attacking me. I think I was trying to get to this guy before something bad could happen, and then when I did see him, he pretended not to know me, nor care for the well-being of any entity. This, creature was also said to be dating a close friend. Well, it was an old friend from real life that I hadn't seen in some time. I remember feeling devastated that the monster got to my friend. I still wanted to fight this asshole, but he kept disappearing and taunting me. Cold, a horrible feeling. Later on, I found myself inside of a house or a hotel room. Not sure. I think there might have been a fight in the same hotel earlier in the dream. Towards the end of the dream, I was standing in the same room and flipped on the TV. There was an image of the mountainside, close up on some dirt and rocks, and in the grainy video footage, I saw the top of something's head. The head of an old man with legs like a spider. It legit looked like something out of one of those story tales to tell in the dark from the 90s. It was so scary it spooked me and I woke up. June 2nd, 2019. This is the first full night of sleep I've had in over a week. I only remembered a small detail of my dream before I woke up. I was doing a strange dance, standing on one leg, then jumping to the other, hopping on it, then back to the other. I did it in repetition a few times, feeling none of the heaviness of my body, just a strange hoppy dance. When I woke up, I tried doing it, but it looks like it'll take some practice. June 12th and 13th, 2019. On 2 nights, I remembered a single scene from 2 different dreams. The first one, I was in a white weapons room, not unlike that scene in The Matrix, except for the so-called weapons were different kinds of staffs, rods, pokey things, some with prongs. Most of them were black. Among the pile, there were a couple of odd-shaped ones. They were like long cones, or if you can imagine a lightsaber made of opal, but it's just the blade part and it comes to a tip at the end. No idea what it was for. That's all I remember. The other dream was just a scene of me trying to transfer cannabis extract from one container to another. It was the wrong texture though, and it spewed into the other container like melted butter or pus. I don't know, it looked gross. June 19th, 2019. I had restless sleep. The first part of my dream, we were near the swamp area. There was a facility, something like a prison or a camp, concrete and gates, etc., except for everyone was acting in a very cordial way, like this was normal. Even in my dream world, I knew this to be untrue, and there was a pit in my stomach. The duration of this dream was stuck in this room attempting to communicate with the outside world. Eventually a person and 2 presumably guards walked up with a cardboard box, like one that might have belongings in it, but when they dumped it onto a metal table, it was old, seemingly worn clothing and accessories. They looked at me and said, "Put together 3 outfits for our performers." To which I looked at the window in the door to see 3 excited people or friends. 3 of them were jumping up and down. I thought to myself, if they're that excited about what I'm doing, why don't they try and help me out? And then I woke up. That same morning, I woke up too early. I smoked some weed and went back to sleep. I returned to a similar setting, but in another room. A few of these beings were around me, and we were making crafts together at a lower, still metal table. We talked. I don't remember about what, but they seemed happy to see me. One of them asked how their ideas were doing. In this part of the dream, I was working on a rainbow dash perler. I looked up and I said, "Everything you make sells." And then my alarm went off, and I was back. June 20th, 2019. I escaped the facility with help from an old man who was supposedly in there for a crime. I don't remember much, but in the end he couldn't leave too. I remember thanking him and seeing him look sad on the other side of the chain link fence. He gave off the feeling of a sad and withering plant. I was definitely in the area with the crunchy leaves again. I started walking and I woke up. Upon waking, I had this thought. A criminal with a good heart is better than an innocent man with a bad one. Everything and everyone changes, and we shouldn't be blindsided by those changes. As I was writing this entry, I began to cry. I realized that the dead leaves might have represented all of those who came before me, many of which I do not know, but they're still very much a part of our world. It was overwhelming. I'm just happy to feel emotions again. Wow, you're just gonna leave it on a cliffhanger like that? No fair! I want more! Well, I suppose these things can't be rushed, can they? Well, anyways, thanks for listening to the story. If you have a story you'd like to submit, send it to bunnyspooks@gmail.com. Spook you soon!